Hey, welcome to Art with Ian. Today we're talking about how to draw a girl. That's coming up next. Alright, so when it comes to drawing girls, we all want the freedom to sketch our ideas and have the results feel natural. But complex subjects such as the human face can make it really difficult to accomplish that, because the margin for error is basically really small. Like, for example, if the eyes get slightly too far apart, it looks really wonky, or too close together, the nose is super big or super tiny, the lips are too wide. So all those things contribute to a very difficult subject to get to look right. Fortunately, there are ways to help us simplify the subject, and that means getting back to basics. Let's start with the head. There are numerous head shapes, but for the sake of keeping it really simple, I'm just going to talk about a good average shape that can be basically, easily pushed into any of the other shapes. The egg shape. Barring hair, the entire drawing can be placed basically within this shape. So let's start by marking some guidelines. Right around the center, we're going to mark a line, and this is where we will place the eyebrows. Then halfway between this line and the bottom, we're going to mark another line. And around there is where we'll place the nose. And then finally, halfway between that line and the bottom, we'll mark one last line. And that is around where we'll place the lips. Now, these guidelines are not concrete. It's just, obviously you want the features to look like they are working correctly together. But this is a great starting point to kind of just know where to go from the off, and then you can kind of adjust as you see fit for the needs of the character you're drawing. Okay, so now it's time to refine the shapes a bit. Let's cut into the egg, starting at the nose line to create the jaw. Don't be afraid to break away from the original shape a little bit as you're designing the chin and things. It doesn't have to follow this shape. It's just the beginning. The egg shape is just the starting point that we're building off of. So if you think the chin needs to be a little longer or a little shorter, you want to square the jaw, however you want to do it, just remember the egg shape is the starting point. Then the ears, they fit between the eyebrow line and the nose line. Again, you can bring those out past the original shape if you feel like you need to for the design you're going for. And then for the hair, in the beginning, I recommend just keeping it really simple, maybe some bangs and just pull the hair back. But of course, do whatever you want designing the hair. Just don't get sidetracked away from laying in all your basic features and things as you go. Don't go off on a tangent, basically doing something that's not relevant to getting the whole foundation of the drawing accomplished. All right, time to get into the features. But just before we do that, I'm going to pop in some average eyebrows because I really want to focus on the eyes, nose, and mouth. So let's talk about eyes first. There are all sorts of eye shapes to choose from just based on reality alone, but then you also have different styles of art that take the options even further. One really important thing to understand about eyes is that they are not almond shaped. Don't make almond-shaped eyes. Think more dynamically than that. Think in straights and curves, like maybe you have a quick rise from the tear gland and then it kind of hits a straight, and then you have a curve at the far corner where the eyelashes are. And then you hit another straight and then maybe a little curve, or just think more dynamically than just an almond shape. I mean, there might be someone with almond shaped eyes out there, but you're drawing and you have all of the power, so you don't have to draw boring eyes. Just think a little more dynamically when you're working on your eye shapes. Okay, so here's a sheet with a few style examples on it. For now, let's just go ahead and grab the average eye shape and jump back over to our head. When placing the eyes, it's good to sort of go with your gut, but just remember that if you get too close to the eyebrows, the character will look potentially angry, And if you get too far down, the character might look surprised. Certainly it will look off to the viewer. So just kind of play with that eye placement. Sketch lightly as you're getting started so that it's easy to erase if you're doing this on traditional paper and pencil. All right, so that's the eyes placed. Let's move on to the nose. As with the eyes, there are tons of different types of noses. Here I've got just a few examples. Noses can be like a lot of trouble for some artists, and I find the best way to approach them is by starting with nostril placement. Once you have the nostrils in place, you can sort of build the rest of the nose around that placement. Remember that we're also just drawing right now, so we're using lines to represent reality, which reality is defined by light and shadow. So basically, try to confine your line work to the areas where the deepest shadow would exist so that you don't end up with this horrible eyesore of a nose where you've drawn lines for every single, you got a line where there would be light catching. It doesn't look right because that's represented with a bright value. You put a dark value down to represent what light would be, and it looks really bad. So just try to remember that when you're drawing, just think about representing with line mostly what you see as shadow. All right, so let's go ahead and grab this upturned nose and jump back over to our head. You can see the bottom of the nose isn't lined up perfectly with the guideline, and this is exactly what I mean about trusting your gut and just using the guidelines as a starting reference point. At the end of the day, we have to feel like the placements create the look we're going for. Okay. So with the nose in place, let's go ahead and jump over to the lips. Like the other features, lips come in a lot of different shapes. One really important thing to remember about the lips is that the line separating the two of them is not just a straight line. The line that separates the two lips is actually a representation of the shape of the upper lip, which actually kind of has like a bump here resting on your lower lip. And when you look closely at lips, you'll see that there's a dynamic to the shape happening, as well as the shape here, up at the top of the middle of your upper lip. So it's really important to make sure you get those little things happening in your lip drawings. Otherwise, it'll just kind of look like two really funny half ovals or something, So make sure you look at those dynamics of the shapes. So let's go ahead and grab these average lips and jump back over to our head. Now that we have all the features in place, let's go ahead and get rid of the guidelines. And what we've created is a nice simple drawing. Right now we're using average looking features, so we have a pretty average looking girl. But any of these features could be swapped out at any time to change the look. For example, I could change the eyes for more stylized ones, and that would give us a different look. Or I could just change all of the features, swap them out for anime features. And yeah, basically at the end of the day, learning to break down the subject into a really simple shape, in this case we're using the egg shape, and then knowing where to place the features on that shape is a huge part of improving your drawing of anything, really. In this case we're talking about drawing girls, but this really applies to all drawing. And then practice drawing those features. Practice drawing eyes, practice drawing noses, practice drawing lips, and use references. Look at real people. Learning how to draw real features allows you a much greater ability to push those features into the styles you want. If you don't even know how they look in real life, it's going to be really hard to do stylized versions of them. So use reference, practice drawing these features, practice drawing the basic shapes, and play around with the placements of things. Don't follow the grid too rigidly, because then everything you draw will look exactly the same. Play with ideas like a girl with a longer nose, a girl with a really short button nose, big eyes, small eyes. Try not to just produce the same exact drawing over and over and over again, and have a lot of fun with it. Anyways, I hope this helped you guys. If it did help, Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, share it with your friends, ring the bell for notifications of future videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.